Here we go. We're live on Facebook. Let's do this, everybody. We've got the amazing and fun-loving Mark Kohler. You're always fun to talk to, man. Too bad we're just missing Howard Tager. You know Howard would ask you the hard questions.
Yes, he would.
I'm easy. I'm easy on you.
You are. Oh, I'm just trying. Everybody, if you see me scramble, I have a second page of notes on Joe Biden's tax strategies, and there it is. It's just Biden for president. I've been all over his website, talked to one of his head staffers. I'm pulling out the facts, baby.
I love that, dude. I love how you're fact checking. And look, before we start, this is all about facts. We're not telling you to vote for one candidate over the other. We're just giving you the facts so that you understand what to tell your clients. Our whole goal is to educate you, and also for Mark to show you that he's a freaking smart guy too. So if you need him, you know, we're going to hire him as our CPA and for our firm. So Mark, you always have our vote at least, right?
Well, thank you, Tristan. Well, I love the LabCoatAgents. I want to say thanks to everybody for giving me a moment here. This is a big weekend. The voter analysis begins. Everybody starts going to the web, going to YouTube, trying to get a few more facts before they vote. And forgive my casual appearance. It's a Friday afternoon. My wife asked me to come home early and help her in the garden. We're winterizing. So, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I got to jump on this call. So, but I've been talking on the airwaves for a month now on the Trump tax returns, his tax returns, Biden's tax returns, and then both of their tax plans. So to jump right to it, I just want to say Tristan as well, and then you can just quiz me. We'll make this very conversational. But everybody, I want to say this too. This is not a pro-Trump, anti-Biden or pro-Biden, anti-Trump speech. It's funny when I give this conversation or have this conversation, I get accused of being both. And I'm like, how did I come across as both? But here's the thing, and I'm going to just be blunt. I'm going to get it out there. Trump is an idiot on Twitter. There's things about him that, of course, I don't like. Many of you don't like. There's things about Biden we don't like. There's things we like about Trump. I get it. There's not a perfect candidate. And there may be reasons you're like, you know what? I can't stand Trump. I'm going to bite the bullet on a few issues, and I'm going to vote for Biden. That's great. That's fine. We live in America. You do what you want. It's beautiful, right? But from a business, a tax planning standpoint, which is what I help my clients do all over the country. We've got an amazing team, and we do our best. We're not perfect, but we do our best. And we really do research all the strategies out there. I want you to go in with your eyes wide open. Because if you're going to vote for Biden, I just want to know what the impact, what I think the impact might be. And then you can say, cool, that's fine. I'm still going to vote for him. But go in educated on it, because it's scary. I loved how 50 Cent, the rapper this week, said, what are you guys, crazy? I don't want to be 20 Cent. Did you hear?
Did he make that calculation correctly?
Yeah, for him in his bracket, probably.
So good, I love it.
And it was sad. You know, did you hear the controversy with his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, that came out right after? And it's just too bad. Everybody. So anyway, let's jump to it. I don't want to banter too much. So I'll follow your lead, Tristan. What do you want me to start with? Good, the bad? Start with my list.
I want to start with the good, and then give us the bad. That's what okay. I want to see. I want to see what we've got here, because I have a lot of friends all over the United States, and I get to hear their opinions. And this is my actually first time talking to you, so I want to see the facts, man.
Okay, so 4 good things, and these are items pulled from speeches of his and from his Biden website, which I've printed out his tax plan from the website. And yes, if you can't sleep tonight, go ahead and print out anybody's tax plan and you'll right to sleep. So any of you that want to do that research, it's a little cryptic. I mean, any candidate, they can't do everything they promise. They've got to deal with a thing called Congress. So they're going to go in with their wish list and do what they can. So it's going to be general in nature. We even knew this with Trump going in. So there's 4 things Biden wants to do that are good. Number 1, he wants to create this business fund, a small business fund, and there's a name for it that he gives it, and I just couldn't find it at the moment, but this super fund. And this fund is supposed to, he wants to put 60 billion in it, and he wants to help small business owners with 20 employees or less, and kind of do what the PPP did, but better for small business owners. Now, I'm not opposed to that. I think that sounds great. Again, he'd have to get that through Congress. And right now, they're not even extending unemployment. I don't know how successful he'd be, but that's one of the good things he wants to do. Number two, he said, I want to reduce regulation at the small business level. He gave some examples of hair salons and Uber and Lyft drivers and a few things. And bless his heart, I get that. None of us like regulation as a small business owner, but that's a very state-driven issue. You've got the Division of Professional Licensing in most states, DOPL, that decides what hoops an engineer or a dentist or a realtor has to jump through. And so for the president to say, I'm going to make it simpler, I don't know. The next thing that he said is he wants to, oh my gosh, I just lost my page here on this.
You know, while you're looking, Mark, I'm surprised you didn't write up an article on this for Forbes like you did last time for the PPP and everything.
Oh, I do. The problem is, in fact, my staff has been bugging me. In fact, you just gave me a great prompting. I'm going to go over to my draft article. I've been working on it. It's in version 3. I'm just pulling it up on my desktop, and it is challenging. Okay, so here's the third, immigration reform. He wants to make it easier for small business owners that do hire immigrants during seasonal times to make it easier for them to bring them in, whether it's farming or manufacturing or warehouse work. And obviously, the Republicans want to be a little harder on immigration, but that can be hard on business owners that are trying to get labor from the South to come up and help. And then finally, he wants to expand the funding at SBA. He's talked a lot about this in his speeches. I want to help small business owners get bigger loans from the SBA and make it more of a fast track. So those are his 4. The True Business Fund, burdensome licensing for small business owners across the country, immigration reform to hire immigrants at lower wages when we need them, and number 4, more funding for entrepreneurs at the SBA. Those are the 4. All right, that's about it. Now, here's where it gets a little crazy. So I'm going to go through these 11 or 12. The first one that is a big one. By the way, I'm going to stop give me about 5 minutes. Let me get through 2 or 3, and then we'll look for some questions. And if any of you, is that okay, Tristan?
That's awesome, dude.
Okay. Now, I like what Michael is saying right here. Well, Mark, all of Biden's stuff hurts people over 400 grand. No. A good chunk of his changes do, but there's some broader ones too. So Michael, hang tight. So let's do number 1, which is right in line with Michael's comment here on the chat line. He said, Joe Biden has said, anybody making 400 grand or more, we're going to go from this 37 and get it back up to 39.6. So he wants to add 2 to 3% on the high end in the highest bracket. And it's right, Michael. He doesn't want to screw up anybody else's bracket. So if you don't make more than 400 grand, issue item 1, not an issue for you. In fact, I'm going to make a little note. I'm going to put 400K by my numbers so to see how many really affect those above or below. Okay, so that's an above item. Number 2, and let's stick with that theme, Michael. He wants to change the capital gains rate. Now, many of you may already know that it's a 0 rate, a 15%, or a 20% rate right now, depending on how much your AGI is. Well, he said, if you make more than 400 grand, no, forgive me. He said, if you make more than $1 million on a sale of a business, sale of a brokerage, sale of property, sale of a farm, if you have over $1 million capital gain, after that, it's 39.6. Now, when you add the Obamacare tax, which is that investment income tax, on top of that, you can be as high as 45% between state and capital gain. So that's a big deal. And some people go, well, I don't make more than $1 million. Well, is there a day where you might sell your business or sell an investment property? Now, this does not mean your home. This is not your personal residence. That's going to fall into this personal residence exemption. And I don't think anybody's going to get over that $1 million there generally that would have a concern. But that's capital gain rates go up. So I'm going to call that number 2. And that is generally affecting those 1 million or higher. Okay. Thanks everybody for your patience. I don't want to put you to sleep. Last thing I want is someone careening off the side of the road with boredom. Okay, now this is important.
We have a few hundred people watching on Facebook too, so.
Oh, thanks everybody. My name, by the way, if you joined us late, my name's Mark Kohler. I'm a CPA attorney. Friday afternoon in a t-shirt and hat, helping at home. This is my home office. I apologize. We got a law firm and accounting firm helping clients all over the country. No one, and I say this humbly, but I want you to feel some confidence in this conversation. No one has written more books on small business tax strategies on Amazon than me. No one has more YouTube views or podcast listens than me. And my team, my firm, I couldn't do it without them. So I want you to know I'm trying to be out there and clear cut on this. I had a phone call, 2 phone calls yesterday with the president of Entrepreneur Magazine, helping try to get some real content and information out there on this. Okay, now we went through 4 good things. So those that maybe came in late, you can listen to those 4 good things that candidate Biden wants to do. But now we're going through the list of some concerning issues. We hit 1 and 2, which affect those. I won't even repeat it. We'll repeat it at the very end. Number 3, if you remember in 2007 and 8, we got what's called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And that was a big present for many of you, especially realtors, because you got the 20% pass-through deduction on top of your net income, and it doesn't stop. For me, a lawyer, it stops at 400 grand. For accountants, stops. Professional actors, actresses, 50 cent, everybody, you don't get the 20% deduction unless you're a realtor. That's your National Association of Realtors doing their lobbying. Unbelievable. They're the only group that got that exception.
Wow.
Big. Now, we come to President Biden, candidate Biden. If we have a Biden presidency, he said, first, I want to get rid of the 199A for anybody making more than 400 grand. Okay. Now, if you're a realtor in a brokerage and you don't expect to ever make more than 400 grand, fine. Again, I'm going to put that number 3, 199A, the QBI or pass-through deduction. That's a 400K or more issue. But if you're a broker, I know Tristan's coaching and helping a lot of the people listening right now that your goal is to make more than 400 grand. And you just lost a 20% deduction on everything above it. So for example, let's say you made 500 grand net, then the 20% deduction on 500 grand, that's $100,000. If you're in a 30% bracket, you just saved $30,000 in taxes. People has a new car, you know, that's a big deal.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Okay, but again, for those under 400 grand, no stress. Now I'm going to go to something that I think is going to affect all of us. Back in 2007-8, not only did we get this 199A, we got the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We got bonus depreciation, better auto write-offs. Also, I mean, we got 300 pages of small business tax benefits. Those expire in 2023. Whoever the president is, this next president, they're going to dictate which ones stay and which ones go. They were all temporary. So Joe Biden has been very vocal that he calls that the Trump tax bill, and I want to repeal every damn piece of it. I mean, he's been very vocal about that. Now, you may say, well, I don't make more than 400 grand. Well, do you have an auto deduction? Do you try to write off travel, home office, the standard deduction? All those things are gone, and we're back to what they were in 2017. And so be aware that there's going to be some major tax legislation, and it's not going to be as generous as the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's number 4. So I'm going to put that under 400 grand. That's everybody.
All right. I like that. I like how good job, Michael, for bringing that up.
Yeah, this is good, Michael. Even though I don't appreciate your comments, jerk, but we'll just keep moving along here. No. Just joking. Just joking. All right. Now, number 5. Now, this affects all of you. End of stepped up basis. Now, as realtors, you know what stepped up basis is. If grandma dies and gives you a $500,000 property that she bought for $100,000 with grandpa 20 years ago, and now it's worth 500, and you inherit it, do you pay tax? Nope. Do you pay capital gain? Nope. You get stepped up basis to fair market value. You as realtors, that's on the freaking realtor's exam in almost every state. So stepped up basis is a big deal. When you inherit property, it's up to fair market value. Joe Biden doesn't like it. Gone. Doesn't want it at all. If you inherit property, you inherit the basis that grandma had. So when you go to sell it, you're paying tax. Now you may say, well, I'm not going to ever be $1 million capital gain person. Well, you just inherited grandma's house in California. It's worth 1.5. It's not your home. That's a capital gain. Now you're paying 39.6 with no stepped up basis, $400,000 in taxes.
Dude.
Boom, right? Okay. So it dropped my pen. My pen drop was very opportune, but it hit the floor. All right. So no more stepped up basis. It's number 5. That affects everybody. I'm going to put E for everybody. E for everybody. Okay. Number 6. Realtors, buckle up. Joe Biden has been very vocal, does not like the 1031 exchange. What? Remember, sell a property, buy a new one of equal or greater value, sell 3, buy 1, sell 1, buy 3. You know the drill. 1031 exchanges, the most boring classes you have to go to as realtors, right? Well, 1031 exchanges, that's the bread and butter of a lot of commercial realtors, right? So gone. At least that's his wish list. Again, that's what I'm just saying. That's his wish list. Whether he'll get it or not, who knows? That's number 6. That's an E for everybody, not $400,000 or more. Okay, now let's go back to the $400,000 or more one just for a moment. Flow through losses. Now, let's bring up Trump and Biden's tax return. I went through both of them. I got them on my desktop. Okay, now here's the thing that's interesting about Trump's tax return. A lot of media, right? Trump didn't pay his fair share. He did not pay taxes. You know why? He used your strategy, people. Every one of you on this webinar on Facebook Live, you better darn well be real estate professionals. And what's the big deduction you get as a real estate professional that I don't get on your tax return? It's the big D, and it's not divorce, and it's not Dallas. It's depreciation. Well, you get those flow through losses. As a real estate professional, any real estate investments of yours or rental properties, any loss generated, boom, you're writing that off against your W-2 or your tax return and any other income, your spouse's income. I've got chapters written on this, videos written on. I mean, this is a big deal. Well, why didn't Trump pay taxes before he became president? Because he's a real estate professional, people. He owns hotels. He owns commercial buildings. And what does he use those losses from all that depreciation for? To wipe out his income from The Apprentice. Now, do you blame him? No. And they go, oh, but he's got losses on all these real estate properties. Yeah. Do you think that the Trump Tower is going to be really, have losses? It may have operational depreciation losses, but you as realtors know that baby's worth billions. And so take away the zeros. If you're a realtor with 10 rental properties, you want those flow through losses, even though you're getting tax-free cash flow and appreciation. That's a match made in heaven. Candidate Biden, no way. Make more than $400,000, no more flow through losses. So for those of you that are trying to retire on some rental properties and you're making $400K or more, too bad. All right. Now, number 8. He wants to increase the minimum wage across the country to $15. Now, some of you may go, well, Mark, why is that bad? And it's hard to talk about that, right? I got kids in college. I don't want to be making $8 an hour and all this crap. And $15 an hour in many urban areas is not even a living wage. But when you start telling a business owner that all the part-time kids they have working and everybody working for them has to be at $15 an hour, that could that can break the back of a small business owner. And then what do? They increase their prices, and they have to pass along the cost somewhere, and that's to you and me. And so I just think we've got to be careful just saying, oh, increase minimum wages, that's wonderful, but that we got to realize what the impact is going to be to everybody else, and that trickle down effect. And see, this is why some people go, well, I can't stand Trump. I don't make 400 grand a year. I'm voting for Biden. Okay, cool. Do you know why the stock market is tanked the last 3 weeks? It's because they're scared to death. Joe Biden and some of these polls are showing him as in the lead, and they're scared. And so Wall Street is not thrilled for a Joe Biden presidency. Now, if that happens, what do you think is going to happen to your 401k? Look at the trickle down effect of that. So you may say, I'm not going to get impacted because I don't make 400 grand or more. Really? Which brings me to number 9, COVID. Just watch the tour. Trump's not wearing a mask. Joe Biden is. And Joe Biden's like, we need to slow down this pandemic. We need to stay closed longer. And Trump's like, we got to open up these businesses. People are dying out there on the vine financially. And that's a big debate. Well, if Biden gets in, there's a good chance we're going to see this sluggish economy for another, who knows how long, until there's a vaccine. I don't know. So if you're pro-business, I'm not saying you want to see people die. This is a big debate in my home. My wife is like, social distance, wear your freaking mask. I'm like, everybody's going to get it anyway. What the hell? And I don't want to shut down my business. And so there's been, furniture thrown around the house.
It's a tough place to be in. I mean, but you look at what Europe is doing too. They just shut down too. So it's I have the same challenge in my home. It's kind of split down the middle.
Yeah.
But I see both sides. I definitely see both sides.
Now, Michael says again, ooh, I love Michael. Sometimes where people are coming from, or maybe Michael's a good debater and he likes to take the other side here. He says, hey, less than 16% of America has stocks. So does it really affect the majority? Now, come on, people. If we have a turn down in the economy, which can happen with inflation, interest rates are already as low as they can go effectively, right? And we have a dip in the stock market, it affects all of us. Maybe it doesn't affect your 401k or IRA directly, but unless your industry is in a perfect spot, it can be bad. Now, think about this. For you realtors out there, Michael, I suspect you're in the real estate industry, being here on with LabCoatAgents. Real estate, surprisingly, has kind of weathered this storm. I can't believe it. In California, prices are holding strong or going up in some areas. I'm like, what are you, crazy? That's never happened. We have another year of this, or a downturn with Wall Street, a downturn with the economy. And so Michael or Rodell says, well, I don't own stock. 16% of Americans don't. You don't have to own stock to feel the pressure of a Wall Street crisis. Anyway, that's my take, Michael. I'm just throwing that out there. I think there's this trickle down effect of, well, it only affects the rich. Well, what do you think the rich do? They tighten their belts and they don't hire as many people, and unemployment rates go up, whatever. But that's a capitalistic.
Yeah. Also, everybody that's listening in, these are all supposed things that these people want to do, right? Both Trump and Biden, but who knows if it'll pass, right? There's a lot of things that can happen between what they tell you right now and what's actually going to happen when they try to get it voted. And like, dude, do you really think, and this one I don't know, but the 1031 exchange thing, I don't see that changing. Come on, there's just too much money in that from all these investors, high level people, even Congress and senators. They're like, there's no way that's going to pass. So, but I see your point. And so let's go, you were on 9, let's go deeper. Let's go 10, 11, 12.
Okay. Number 10. And by the way, Michael and Rodell and others, I appreciate the calm, intellectual debate. And I think that's great. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And so, I'm going to look for your address later and send some hate mail to you, but that's okay. I have that prerogative.
That's so good, Mike.
Of course, I would not do that. Okay. Now, number 10, again, 400 grand or more income individuals. Candidate Biden said, I want to limit 401k contributions and 401k deductions for those that are more wealthy. So if it wasn't bad enough, we were going to increase their rates, limit pass-through losses, increase capital gains rates, and say, by the way, you can't put as much money in a 401k and get a write-off. Wow. Talk about kicking a guy or gal while they're down. But the 401k is a sacred cow. And just keep that in mind. Now, that's a 400k or greater. Now, let's go down to a everybody item. And I'm going to summarize these. Someone asked, are we going to get a copy of this and that and this? Yes. Everybody, right, Tristan? This will be out there for you.
Get a copy of this after. So
Yep.
it'll go directly to your email.
And I am working on an article. I'll forward it straight to Tristan as soon as it's done over the weekend.
Mark, after whoever wins, we can come back and we can go over the new tax plan, whoever wins, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Number 11. Candidate Biden supports what Californians know as the ABC test. Now, this is related to the big lawsuit against Uber and Lyft. California, in the last 18 months to 2 years, has really tried to shut down this subcontractor gray area. They want everybody to be absolutely an employee. And there's this ABC test that was passed, which it follows in line with about 11 other states that says, if you even look like, smell like, or act like an employee, you're a freaking employee. And they then tried to shut down Uber and Lyft, and that's a big lawsuit that is now pending. And what is the prop? What someone said 19. Is it Prop 19 that's going to amend
the property tax transfer, I think?
Yeah.
So, maybe it's.
Oh, it's 22. Alicia says Prop 22, which means if that wins, Uber drivers are now employees. And it's funny, you talk to Uber drivers, are like, I don't want to be an employee. Who in the hell is advocating for me? I haven't met an Uber driver yet that wants to be an employee. But anyway, here's the point, everybody. This is a chilling effect. That how many of you, and you know this, you're realtors, you're brokers, and the last thing you want to do is put an employee on your payroll. You'd love to 1099 them and just say, oh, they're just an agent, even though they help around the office or they have some administrative duties. They're just an agent. I'm going to give them a 1099. This is a major issue nationwide, and the states are going more and more after this. And candidate Biden's like, I'm all over this. They need to be employees. What does that do to you as a small business owner? Drives up costs. So think about it. 1 in 3 Americans now have a side gig or a side hustle.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? 1 in 3 Americans. And so that's a small business. That gives us an ability to write off all sorts of deductions, home office, electronics, equipment, cell phone, dining, travel, auto. Well, now you make me an employee, I get none of those write-offs. So it has a trickle down ripple effect. All right, number 12. And I will finish with this one. Estate tax. When you die, the IRS takes a picture. How much are you worth? Real estate, 401ks, IRAs, businesses, land, whatever you're worth.
LabCoatAgents was it. He comes to us from UBA.
Oh, someone's got to get muted there. Apologize. Remember, the IRS takes a picture of how much you're worth, minus your mortgages. If it's more than $12 million, $13 million, that's the exemption this year in that range. If any more than 13 million, you pay a federal estate tax of around 50%, right? Bad.
Is that single or married? Is it double if it's married?
If you're married and you do an AB trust, you have to take active steps to capture both, but you can capture both and protect around 24 to 26 million. Now, I know some of you out there are going, I'm never going to be worth 10 million, let alone 25 million. Back off, Kohler. This is not even affecting me. Well, candidate Biden has said, I want to bring that down to where it used to be 10 years ago into this $3 to $5 million range across the board. Now, you may say, I'm never going to be worth $3 million. Hey, that includes your life insurance, a small business, a retirement account, and your home. You start adding up some of that. A lot of people are worth more than $2 million and they didn't even know it. And then if that picture is worth more than that exemption level, and the Democrats have been wanting to gut this for years and bring it down, then there's a tax above that amount. For those in Washington state, there's a Washington state estate tax, right? And you hate that. Californians moved to Washington and they're like, woohoo, we're saving taxes. And then they're like, oh, I just, have a state tax now to deal with. So anyway, that's number 12, and that affects everybody. So I'm going to summarize these, Tristan, and then I'll do any Q&A and you guys can beat me up. But first, Tristan, go ahead.
I have a question on that 12. When you're looking at that estate tax for when you die, is there a way to protect that through a revocable trust?
Yes, if you're, and I'll give you the exact amount, the estate tax exemption for 2020 is 11.58 million. And so if you're single, you're gonna not pay estate tax when you die, and all of your family gets stepped up basis. So there's no tax around anything really on that first 12 million. That's great. Your revocable living trust, if you're single, the trust doesn't give that to you or stop you from it. It's irrelevant. You automatically get that 11.58 million. But if you're married and you're in Washington state and they have a state tax exemption level of a couple of million, but if you want to avoid the federal and double down on it, now you have to do a revocable living trust as a couple. It's called an AB trust. They're not terribly expensive. We charge a couple grand, but to save millions, it's not that big a deal. But you're looking at now protecting 23.16 million. Candidate Biden wants to cut all of that by a third if he could have his wish list. And so that grabs more people with the family farm or the family business. These homes are second homes and cabins and whatever. Yeah. So that's estate tax. So those are about the 12. I get it, not the end of the world. But I think, Michael, my overall take is, and I think I can say this safely, and Joe Biden said it even on his website, I am pro-employee, pro-union labor, pro the little guy, pro-low income, and I'm going to go for that stage of things. President Trump has been, I'm pro-corporate, I'm pro-business. I want to loosen regs, lower taxes, and let the capitalist economy do its thing. Now, there's pros and cons to both sides. I know that. Neither one's perfect. The problem is we got two people on both extremes. And so we're trying to pick the lesser of two evils. So if you're concerned about the economy and when it's going to get back into full bore and paying taxes at any level and the trickle-down effect in the economy, I think you're going to lean towards a Trump vote. And I scared the hell out of it.
Mark, I thought you were going to say, let's vote for Kanye West, but
that's coming.
Surprised that you didn't say that.
Yeah, it's coming. You know what blew my mind is I saw the vice presidential debate and I was like, why are we choosing between these two? These guys freaking, I love Pence, and anyway, it is what it is. But if you're, anyway, I'm not going to ramble any further. So there it is. And I hope that was, I didn't want to be emotional or.
No, dude, no emotion on this. And I think it really, it's all about just bringing back just understanding that we have opposing views and it's okay, right? There's no need to try to kill you for it. Yeah. Like, it just doesn't matter. It's important to discuss it and be able to go deeper on it. Let's go into the Trump plan if you can. I think his was a little shorter. It wasn't 12 points, right?
No, and I can summarize. Let me say this. More of the same. Trump's tax plan is, I just want to keep doing the same thing. I want to keep reducing taxes. I want to extend all the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provisions. And So rather than get into the minutia, it's more of the same. Now, some of you, you're like, I cannot have more of the same when it comes to Trump with his ranting and raving on Twitter and maybe his race relations and things like that. I get that. But I think many realtors and brokers have had a pretty good economic run the last 3 to 4 years. And regrettably, you have to give a little credit to the GOP and Congress and Trump in passing the strongest tax legislation in 40 years. I think it threw gas on the fire with our economy. Okay, a few comments. Hildegard said, many stocks have had a big run up. A correction has been anticipated. Hildegard, I can't argue with that. I think that's a fair point. Michael says again, let's just go back to Clinton tax rates. I wasn't a big fan of Clinton, but it seemed to work at the time and may again at this time too. Clinton, and you're right, there was some good financial years during the Clinton times, but it wasn't as extreme as the Biden candidacy. It's not just about rates. I agree that rates were high during the Clinton time, but Clinton he was a master. I mean, he was a master at negotiation, and I don't think he was as bad with foreign affairs as we haven't even brought that up, but anyway, so Michael and Hildegard, good comments. So Nexus says, can we hire Mark and navigate us through this thing if Biden wins? We would love to be of service. I don't wear just my Bigfoot t-shirt. That's only at home on Fridays. But we've got a great law firm and accounting firm. I recommend to all of you, if you just want a review, just get with one of my tax lawyers between now and the end of the year. Are you going to pay your spouse? What's your S Corp salary supposed to be? Are you going to fund a 401k? Are your kids on salary? Are you funding a Coverdale or a Roth IRA for you or your kids? Are you maximizing your auto deduction? There's about 8 to 10 things that if your accountant isn't bringing it up to you, definitely do that. So whether Biden or Trump wins, get a second opinion on your tax plan. I've got my silver play button now on YouTube. I've got over 100,000 subscribers and millions of views. Get on YouTube and just type Kohler, get a bowl of popcorn and some Diet Coke, binge on some of my videos, have a list. And when you get on the phone with one of my tax lawyers, they're going to build you a diagram. And I could even share a little screen of what that might look like. But
dude, I think we should really go into the next round sometime in November or early December. Really, what we should be doing now before the year ends. Everybody's got about a month and a half or so. If we do it in like mid to end of November.
Should we have fun with that? Do we want to get off politics and just in our last 10 minutes or so, just give a kick-ass list of things to think about?
I think it's important, man. It's part of what we need to plan for. Why not just give a short, quick list? People will love it.
Okay, let's do it. And let me see if there's anything else in the chat that I need to contact. Are we going to get into the Trump tax plan? More of the same gives us a booming economy before COVID. Gene, I really have to say that Trump's tax plan is nothing new. He just wants to keep doing pretty much the same thing, which drives some of you crazy. I get that. But from an economic standpoint, I'd like to see the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act extended. I want to keep buying rentals. I want to keep building my business. Yeah, as long as we're all on the train. Rod, I agree. So tricky stuff, but we're not going to go too deep into Trump. Can we please comment on California Prop 15 and Prop 19 and its impact overall real estate market and effect on realtors? Wayne, if you'd allow me to pass on that, I'm going to let Tristan bring in more specific panelists for the California real estate market and how Prop 19 and 15 would affect you. I'm trying to do more nationwide planning, so I don't think I'd be as effective on those two propositions. Is that okay, Tristan, as well?
100%, dude. That's fine.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen, people, and I'm going to show you what we do on the phone with our clients, and I'm going to give you a list, and I'd like all of you to write this down, 10 things that you should be thinking about before year end. So what we do is we design a little diagram with every client on the phone. So if this, we'll go John and Mary Jones, whatever it is. And typically what we want to see, everybody, is, and you can review this with your own accountant or lawyer, but what I want to see is your operations on the left and your holdings on the right. Your trust and your estate plan down at the bottom. Now, your trust and estate plan owns all of your other assets. So your revocable living trust is the foundation. Now, realtors, you should have an S Corp. So I'm going to just go through my list. Number one on your to-do list is, do I have my S Corp in place and what's my salary? That is absolutely critical. Now I have what's called the Kohler payroll matrix. You can Google that, and I'll put it here in parentheses so that you can kind of play with that. Kohler payroll matrix. It's in my books and it's out there on the web. You'll find it real quick. That's number one. Maybe we'll do a list of ones rather than bullets. Okay, number one. All right, number two. Paying spouse. For any of you that are married, should you pay your spouse? The general rule that I say is only if you want to fund the 401k. If not, don't worry about it. Your spouse is still going to get Social Security. She or he can still fund a Roth IRA. I would not worry about it. Number three, for those of you that have children, I want children or any family members on the payroll. That doesn't mean you're going to issue a W-2. It doesn't mean you're going to do a 1099. There's different rules for kids under age 18 than those that are over age 18. And I've got videos on both of those on YouTube, and you can cover it in a consultation. So I want children on payroll or as subs. Number four, I want to maximize your auto deduction. Let's just do the easy ones. Are you going to buy a vehicle before year end? Are you doing actual or mileage? Are you leasing? Which one is best for the vehicle you have? Some of you may go out and buy a vehicle before end of year. Maximizing auto, always a good one. I'm going to have some fun ones here. I want you to make sure you have your board of advisors or board of directors in place, which would be here at your S Corp level or at your LLC for your rental level, board of advisors or board of directors. And I want you to make sure your trips at Christmas and the holidays are a write-off. That's a great time to have your annual board meeting. We've got a 25-point checklist. We go through and give it to you to build your minutes. We have a company maintenance system in our law firm. It's $150 a year, so affordable. Reach out. If you're listening to this on recording, talk to Becky. I'll put that board of advisors. I'll put directors and travel write-offs at Christmas. Travel write-offs during the holidays.
A great idea. I'm going to Park City now, Mark.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Totally a write-off. We can't write off the entertainment, but we can write off all the food, the hotel, the airfare, the Uber, the Airbnb, taxis, tolls. All of that stuff can be a write-off when you're there having your board meetings, going to conferences, meeting with customers, contacts, partners, whatever the case is. Talk to Becky Lloyd at my law firm for the CMP program if you want to see into that. Number six, are you buying your rental property every year? Now, I know we only have 2 months left in the year, but this is one of our top 10 strategies we talk to all of our clients about. Continue to invest in rental real estate. Guys, that's your retirement plan in large part for a lot of my realtors, brokers, and contractors. So continue to invest in real estate. We're going to talk to you about that. Number seven, are you going to fund a solo 401k? If you haven't set up a solo 401k, we do a big discount in November. It starts in a week, 2 or 3 days. So at the law firm, talk to Solana. If you want to do a 401k setup, Solana at KKOS Lawyers, and you don't have to put the money in the 401k until next year, but you've got to just get it set up before December 31st if you're going to do it. Number 8, I want you to fund Roth accounts for all the family members, you, your spouse, kids, maybe even your mom and dad, because you're going to inherit it. And an inherited Roth IRA is freaking amazing. Roth accounts for all the family. Get on my YouTube, I'll put that in parentheses, and type Kohler 1 million Roth. It's a great video on how to build a Roth IRA and self-direct. Number 9,
I found your 1 million Roth. I'm going to put that into the link right now.
Oh, thank you, dude. Okay, number 9 is going to be healthcare write-offs. Let me give a quick example. Not only is your health insurance a write-off, up at your S Corp level. But we want to also write off all of your out-of-pocket medical. Now, you might be using an HSA, an HRA, or a flexible spending account. All three of these can be tools in your toolbox, and no one's talking about it. CPAs don't talk about it, definitely not the lawyers or your bankers or insurance agents. And I've got what's called Kohler Care. You'll love it. So look at that. But let me give a quick example. I had a phone call with a client last night who was in a rental property while they were building their house, and they got exposed to mold. Bad. It killed their dog. They had to throw away all their clothes. It ruined their car. It was a bad mold diagnosis, and they're in a big lawsuit against the landlord. Well, the insurance, their health insurance, only covers so much. They've had over 20 grand in out-of-pocket medical expenses due to this mold. They can write off all of that with an HRA as a small business owner. If you don't have an HRA and you got big medical expenses, your accountant is leaving you in the cold. So you got to be talking about that before year end as well. Gosh, I really want to finish with 10. I'm going to throw in the kitchen sink, which I always love, is the electronics, cell phones, cameras, audio, furniture, equipment, drones, anything at Best Buy, anything at the Apple Store, any tools, anything. All of you are realtors out there doing a little repairs and this, that, and another, open houses, blah, blah, blah. I know you got a screwdriver and a toolbox in your trunk. I want you to have anything at Home Depot as a write-off. And so all of those little things really, really add up. So I'm going to put et cetera. And a lot of people miss out on that.
Okay. So that is some place that I think most agents drop the ball on because they don't keep track of what they purchase. So that's a really good point, man.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, so there's my top 10. Anybody with any quick questions or Tristan? I mean, I don't know if those are my true top 10, but at least to get us before year end.
One question, and then we'll wrap it up, dude. Susan Collette says, what about taxes for trustees in an irrevocable trust?
Oh, my word. Thanks for that question. I don't get that question very often. And probably the reason why. I'll stop this share. You know what? Let's do this. Just for you fun, I'm going to put to-do list, to-do review list, review list before 12/31. And if your accountant doesn't want to have a review meeting with you, you got the wrong accountant. So I'm going to put that in the chat. How about we do that?
I love that.
So I can put this to everyone, I think. Oh, panelists and attendees. Okay, so I can send it and paste. And boom, there it is.
I like that.
There it is. So everybody, if you need to cut and paste that into a little Word document and make sure you bring that up. Oh, how to set up a meeting with our office or me. Our website is kkoslawyers.com. The accounting firm is ke-cpas.com. The phone number for both firms is 1-888 801-0010. You can talk to a CPA or a tax attorney. I generally recommend pay the $300 or $400. Meet with the tax lawyer. We want to save you 20 times whatever you pay us. We'll build a diagram, go through your list, strategize for the new year. You don't have to fire your accountant to get a review. Just get a review. And if you want to talk to one of my CPAs, it may be $100 to $200. But if you haven't got your family trust done, if your LLC is a mess, your S Corp doesn't have a board, you haven't done minutes in 3 years, meet with the law firm first. You can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. And someone said, are you a member of the WSBA licensed in Washington State? I am not licensed in Washington State, but it does not matter because we do national tax law. We help clients in all 50 states set up their entities, do their taxes. And only if I go to court or if I write a nasty letter or if I'm going to litigate or have an office, do I need to be barred in that state as a lawyer. Now, as an aside, I'm a licensed CPA in like 6 states: Oregon, Arizona, California, Idaho, Utah, Hawaii. I'm also a lawyer in 2 states. In our law firm, we have 10 CPAs and 6 lawyers, and we're probably licensed between 10 states, all of us. But it doesn't matter. We can get on a phone. Oh, your link is incorrect. Oh, what? Let me try this. Gosh, what did I do wrong? www.ke-cpas.com. What's going on? Oh, I'll do this. I'll put it down in the chat, everybody. Oh, or it's forwarded to a longer one. Someone said, can we get the review list? Yes, I just cut and paste it in the chat. So you can copy and paste it, Anita. Also, this is recorded. Tristan and the LabCoats team will get it out to you. And Tristan, I'd probably say maybe cut and paste this top 10 review list out there. But everybody, this was not an infomercial for us. I love LabCoatAgents. I love what you guys are doing. You've got great coaches there. Tristan, your fearless leader, he cares about you. I'm grateful that he puts a boring tax guy on every 2 or 3 months. You may say, have Mark out one more time in December. That's cool. I'm here for you. But maybe that does the trick. Oh, I never answered the irrevocable trust question. Yeah. Susan, I hate irrevocable trusts. Rarely do I do irrevocable trusts. I get a review. I'd want to know why you have one, what its purpose is, why you're paying taxes in it, because there's no taxes in an irrevocable trust if you distribute all the income. So why are you not distributing the income? What's the purpose of this trust? But anyway, just Susan, whole other topic. Sorry.
Dude, we can go all on trusts later.
Yeah.
I love that. Mark, thanks for doing this, buddy. I appreciate you. I love your t-shirt. So I may end up getting one of those.
Yeah, I'm a believer. For those that came in late, I'm a believer in Bigfoot. I had a Bigfoot experience in Oregon. Now, I was born in Washington, went to law school in Oregon, lived in Utah, Idaho, and California. So I'm lived in New York for a while. But I'm a Northwest kid. So Bigfoot's real, people. Just deal with it. I hate to tell you. I probably just blew my credibility on everything I just said, didn't I? So, oh, well.
I have an airplane going through my top, so.
Oh, you're muted. There you go. There you go. So anyway, I was in the mountains of Oregon camping, and my brother and I both 50 feet away, weren't even talking to each other, and we're zoomed in watching something move through the trees on 2 legs, and it wasn't a deer, it wasn't an elk, and it was looking at us. We got in our Jeep faster than you can imagine. I was packing heat at the time, and I was all Steven Seagal ready to go.
Hilarious, dude.
But I'm just saying. I mean,
there's something out there, Mark.
Yeah,
there's something out there. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody. My name is Daryl. I like that joke. Thanks.
Go watch Harry and the Hendersons, everybody.
Yeah. It's a documentary.
It's a documentary. Thanks, Mark.